All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Stack. I'm with Marion County Road Department. I'm the engineering supervisor. Tonight, we're just going to kind of go over our Red Arrow Highway Harbert project scheduled for this year. Kind of go over some of the quick details of it and kind of go through the project as it stands right now. And if there's any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. I will check that periodically and go from there and answer as many questions as we possibly can. We got as long as needed. Like I said, we'll probably go through about a quick 5-10 minute presentation just to kind of give an overall background of the project. But once we get through that, I'll look for questions. This is kind of a new way to do it thanks to COVID, but I think we'll make it work. We are recording this, so once we are done, we will put it up on our website and YouTube pages for everyone to view afterwards, and you can point people into this direction to see it. With that getting started, I also have with me on the line Melanie Stanage. She is the engineer with Whiteman and Associates, who is our consultant that is working with us to design this project. Same consultant that worked with us on Red Arrow and Union Pier that is currently under construction. So as you can see, there will be a lot of similarities as we go through this project as part of the corridor, Red Arrow corridor, and making it kind of an entranceway into Marion County. So we'll get started here. The background of this project is pretty similar to Red Arrow and Union Pier. This all started approximately easily three and a half years, almost 4 years ago, starting with Red Arrow Union Pier in the townships and getting a design going forward with what we wanted Red Arrow to look like and what the townships wanted their section to look like and what they're willing to invest to make it kind of their own entity. So obviously in the road department's picture, we're not streetscape people. We are definitely asphalt, blacktop, make it look pretty, get traffic from point A to point B. So for our background, it was more the pavement condition. As everybody knows, you've driven Red Arrow Highway. It is not the greatest drive with the amount of bumps in it. It is about 38 years old. The asphalt on top of it with about a 1/4 inch of chip and seal on top of that. So it is long overdue. The county and the road department are making great strides to repair this road in the last 3 to 4 years. We've tackled several miles of it, and we continue every year from here on out to address a different section of Red Arrow until we're completed. So that's the good news. The other issue that we came into is a growing community. Down here in just the 6 years that I've witnessed it, this community has evolved immensely, definitely in the last year, from people coming up here from summer homes out of Illinois and other parts of this country and state to becoming permanent residents. So the townships are seeing a greater influx in year-long residents that are looking for something to do, looking for entities to have, and the townships are doing a great job of answering to provide those entities. One of the other big drivers of this corridor is pedestrian safety, corridor safety. There's a lot of moving pedestrians down here. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to go down there in the summer. I did a couple times this last year and the prior year when we were doing the Union Pier project just to kind of see for myself what we were looking at. I could hear everyone talk about it, but I hadn't seen it personally. There's a lot of foot traffic. A lot of people walking from what we refer to as railroad side of Red Arrow Highway, which is where the railroad runs, moving to the lake side, which is Lake Michigan side. Since Red Arrow kind of runs on a skew, it's easier to say railroad side, lake side, than try to say the northeast quadrant of the north side of the road and anything. So when you hear us say railroad side or lake side, that's how we're referring to this. But there's a lot of foot movement down here. And try to get foot movement across a 4-lane highway at 55 miles an hour that's posted. I know they're most likely doing 60, 65 is our main concern. Trying to get these pedestrians from point A to point B safely, but yet allowing the everyday traveling public to move efficiently. So as we go through, that is one of our main questions as we go through. Overview of the project. Here it is. We're starting up near Sawyer and moving southwest towards, it's a little street called Main Drive. It is private, but we refer to down near the Antique Mall, right before the final curve, before Cherry Beach. It's just over 2 miles of roadway. In my opinion, it is probably one of the worst sections of Red Arrow at this point. So that's why we are attacking it as much as we can. When we come out of Sawyer, you'll see that we start just south of Sawyer. We did pave south of the intersection a year ago, 2 years ago. We're going to start right there and taper down and continue south. This will be milling out 4.5 inches of asphalt, putting back 4 new inches of asphalt. However, we'll be doing a lot of concrete joint repair of the existing concrete underneath. What we have found underneath Red Arrow in the years working under it, the inside 2 lanes are about 1920s era concrete, which is very, very strength into the compression strength of it because of the size of the stone that they put in there. The outside 2 lanes are probably about 1940s. So we have a very good base underneath this. It just needs a little bit of TLC to provide that base. So we're going to leave that in place and move south with 3 lanes, just like we are in Union Pier. Our ultimate goal here is to kind of slow traffic down as we get through there. Once we do have this project done, we do plan on doing a speed study review. However, we have to have that project completed and let traffic flow on it to see that kind of traffic calming effect take place. So this is kind of the overall project limits here. Project highlights, like I mentioned, is 4 lanes to 3 lanes, just like we are in Union Pier, how the road is traveling now. Portion of it will have a non-motorized path, 10-foot wide non-motorized path on the lake side. So if you're familiar with the area, that lake side will be the side that has the Swedish bakery on it, and all the shops on the opposite side of the county park and things like that. So that's where that path will be. We'll realign skewed intersections, so like the Harbert Road, Red Arrow intersection, which I'll show you here momentarily, will look a lot different. The old M11 intersection will also look a lot different. We're trying to put these at what we refer to as perpendicular intersections to the highway. So you're not trying to look over your shoulder, trying to look back at an awkward angle to see if there's any cars. Pedestrian and vehicle safety, like I said earlier, crossings for pedestrian to get to the park, crossings for people to get from the railroad side of Harbert Road across to the Harbert Beach down at the very end, things like that. That's our main goal, is making sure we can allow that pedestrian movement safely, but also making sure the traveling public can efficiently travel this road. Summer tourist destination, like I mentioned before, you go down there in the summertime, it is busy. A lot of vehicles, a lot of pedestrians. People want to go to the beach, especially the last summer. People just want to get out into the country. So we are recognizing that as being a factor when we're going into design here. This project, what's different about this one is this is only going to be the road project. So we'll be in there and we'll be reconstructing the road. We'll put curb and gutter in, the drainage, anything that has to do with the road, the non-motorized path. We will not be doing the streetscape elements, so the decorative concrete, the trees, the plantings, the bushes, the benches, the lights, all that stuff will not be part of this project. However, Chickamee Township is also working on a separate contract with Whiteman to do that streetscape, hopefully in 2022, 2023. Once we are done with the road project, we are designing it so when they come in, it is all set up and ready to go for them. So I commend them on doing that as a good job. So now to the overview of the project. We'll kind of go sheet by sheet here to kind of show you an aerial and just a very brief schematic. For those of you that join us that we have met individually with about your driveways, these driveways are not up to date, so don't get excited. They have not been updated to how we've had our conversations. We are still working on that. So if you see something here that does not look right, how we discussed in any of the one-on-one meetings, don't worry, we are addressing it. We just have not updated the pictures yet. So the very top photo that you're looking at up here, we are starting down here. This is the antique mall that I'm referring to. And this is kind of a little lane here. And then obviously the post office is up this direction a little bit more, but we're going to start clear down here with our lane tapers. So as you can see, we have an existing 4-lane section on this side. As I come in, we'll be tapering down to the 3-lane section right outside the curve here. So here's the antique mall again. That 3-lane section will start right here, that center turn lane. And then you'll have your 1-lane northbound, 1-lane southbound. You'll notice that it's this what we refer to as inside lane or lakeside lane on this side right here will be coming out. We'll be completely removing that lane to allow us to put that non-motorized path or prep for that non-motorized path to be going in the future down in this area. This next section kind of just shows you, here's a 3-lane section as we move through. I believe we're getting closer to the post office here, but you can see here's your turn lane. You can kind of see traffic running in that outside lane right there. Again, we're taking that lane on the lake side out. So you can see your north arrows, north is this way. So like I said, red arrow runs on a skew. So this side, we'll say, is the side the lake's on. This side's the side the railroad track's on. Just for reference, this way Sawyer, that way is Cherry Beach. Moving up, now here's the Harbert Road red arrow intersection that I was referring to. Right now the existing Harbert Road runs straight through, causing for a very, very large intersection, very tough angles. You can basically come off red arrow at 55 miles an hour and hit that intersection and continue on Harbert at 55 miles an hour if you're really daring. Don't recommend it, but we are going to correct that. We want those intersections to be 90 degrees with the road for safety. That allows us to allow that person to make a maneuver so they're not trying to go straight across the red arrow all at once. They can pull out, make their maneuver, and then continue whichever direction they want. So this is Harbert and red arrow. This heads to the lake. Here's the real estate office. Here's the Swedish bakery. Here's what used to be the nursery that now has been sold, and it looks like it's being redone. So this is how this will look here. This is a private drive that will head off in this direction. That is there now. There's some trees here that our county crews will be out to remove for vision obstruction within the right-of-way. Nothing major. They're saplings and things like that, just to clean it up. And then over here is Harbert Road running into Red Arrow Highway. This is headed towards the railroad. So Prairie Road is over here in this area. We're able to do this because this is a large right-of-way. You can very faintly see these grade lines right here and right here. This is the right-of-way up here. Since Red Arrow Highway used to be a state highway, it's a very enlarged right-of-way out there that we have. So we're making use of it. You can see we come right to the point of it here to make this work without having to acquire additional right-of-way. We feel this will be a great addition to this corridor, kind of improving the safety factor of it. Some of these drives, you can notice, like Swedish Bakery here. We have met with them one-on-one. Go back there, sorry. We have met with them one-on-one and discussed their drives. And unfortunately, right now, how the vehicles just come in there and park straight up against the building, they'll no longer be able to do that.
Yay! Hallelujah! Yay!
So that's one of the big factors that we're going to change, because that's a huge safety. I have sat down there multiple times and watched traffic and near misses on my own. So understanding that that is an issue, they're more than willing to work with us. And we're more than willing to make sure that we're not impeding their business, making sure that what we do does not directly impact them. So they're on board. We're working with them to make sure that this works, and doing as much as we can within the right-of-way to make sure this works. We're not able to do anything outside that right-of-way, but you can see that right-of-way line almost comes right up to their sidewalks. So we will be adjusting that and making that change. And as we move further down, here's the intersection of Red Arrow and Prairie. This doesn't change much. It does tighten up a little bit. We do put a curb and gutter in here with drainage to allow us to tighten this intersection up again. I just want to slow traffic down. I don't want traffic coming off Red Arrow Highway at 35, 45 miles an hour making these tight turns. I need them to slow down, make a safe turn movement in case there is any pedestrians crossing or anything like that. What I do, like I said, so that's Prairie Road. Here's that nursery again. And then this is a little abandoned building over here. You can kind of see how we tighten that curb up, allows them to have some parking along the edge of the road there. We are working on driveways for them currently at this time. But that's kind of the little area right there. I do want to back up real quick, back up to the previous page. Here's Harbert again. What I forgot to point out, probably the most important that people want to see, is here's where the non-motorized path starts. So right here, you see this path come across the road. This is where we're going to start the non-motorized path. So this will be a crosswalk right here. And then this will be a 10-foot wide path. We'll bring this as tight as we can up the back of curb and gutter. So this area from Harbert Road to Prairie will be roughly the reconstruction zone, meaning everything that is there comes out. Asphalt, concrete, subgrade, all that comes out and all new goes back in. What we have to do is we have to adjust what we refer to as the vertical curve of the road. So how the road goes up and down, that's what we're going to adjust to make sure drainage flows through there. We'll be doing that and then putting all that material back. But by doing that, we're able to bring that path as tight to the road as possible to help alleviate some of the parking issues at the Swedish Bakery and other residents as we go down. Keeps that path tighter to the road and not so far out in the right of way. People may ask what's going to happen from this path south. This path south will not be paved or graveled. It will be graded. So when we're done, it'll be grass. But you'll notice that, hey, look, there's a 10-foot wide grassy area. I wonder what the path's going to go there. Yes, it will eventually when we continue. However, for drainage reasons, we do have to grade like this path is going in there. So we're ready for it in the future. When we move in the future, it'll be simple. We go in, they just dig down a little bit, put gravel in and pave it. Be very simple. We'll be all ready for them. So you see that path continues on this side. There will be a crosswalk in this area. We're still determining that right now based on MDOT review. But I do want a crosswalk so people from Harbert can get from this side of Harbert Road across the path, down and over. That pedestrian crosswalk will be a pedestrian activated crosswalk. So you'll walk up, press a button, bright LED yellow flashers will go off in all directions, warning travel.
That's always been my front yard, your crosswalk.
Nice. So we're going to try and prevent that a little bit. So
well, I don't think that's really not possible. I've been here 30 years and it's a mess.
Which one's your yard?
The first picture you showed, the first light pole that you see, that's my front yard.
Okay. Which
is right now 6 foot of snow because that corner is just so dangerous. I mean, there's nowhere for anything to go. It's been that way. I mean, I think I have 16 accidents logged in the book that my children have witnessed out front.
Right. And that's one thing that we're trying to address is any of that safety issues right there by slowing it down and providing clear vision areas by making these 90-degree intersections here.
Has anybody ever considered making this little stretch at 55? What is there, 1,000 feet to the stop sign? Has anybody considered making this a one-way so that you do have a decent intersection at Prairie Road? You know, like the traffic coming off of this little small section, especially now that market is no longer there. We don't have, there's not as much hustle and bustle as people. But I just think this little short distance at 55 is just dangerous. And if it was a one-way, then nobody would have the opportunity to come at 55 miles an hour and turn down here.
Are you referring to Harbert Road on this side?
On the opposite of the lake, that little stretch down to Prairie.
Yeah. So the concern is we did talk about one of the options was that it wasn't discussed very long is why can't we shut that completely off?
Well, you'd have to figure out a way for me to get in my driveway. But hey, I'm all for that. It's horrible here.
Right, and that's the things we looked at. However, looking at the main, I'll move down to the next section so you can see Prairie. I don't have a complete view. One of the main issues here was turning movements. So I do have to allow for commercial traffic.
They come in my yard too. I mean,
so in your yard, what you're going to have there now is you're going to have curb and gutter, so they're not going to be able to jump that.
Semis have destroyed my yard. Even when they did what I thought was a bike path here, I still have chunkage in my yard. And then when the thaw comes, all the chunks of cement land in my front yard. So, and every time there's a fire in the neighborhood or the power goes out, it's always this pole in my front yard. It's caught on fire 3 times in the last 27 years.
I can believe that because it looks like they just put a new one there. So we'll see how long this one lasts.
Well, that's that's at the corner. That's at the end of my driveway. A kid just missed the turn and slammed right into that. And that's been replaced numerous times as well.
Okay. So yeah, in this area, there'll be curb and gutter. So your yard, the snow plows won't be able to touch your yard.
It'd be a miracle.
If vehicles come in, it's going to be one bumpy ride for them. But that, hopefully with the low volume here, this traffic will be able to make this turn a lot better and maneuvering. So that's kind of why we're looking at that configuration there.
Yeah, it's been trying. I keep the easement along the tracks mowed and cleaned. And now that my children are grown, but we had a rule that we used my backyard because I have a pretty good sized lot here. And they drove the easement during driver's ed and training and stuff like that because it was just too dangerous for my kids to back out onto Harbor Road. You know,
Right.
like right now, if I don't know my driveway and don't know the area, I can't even see beyond the 6 foot of snow that's in my front yard from the plow trucks. And they
Yeah.
come in different directions. They come from the New Buffalo area and whip off and dump at my driveway. Then they make this curve coming from the Sawyer area and do a flip around. So, I mean, I just had my yard plowed this morning, and there's 3 foot of snow back in the end of my driveway. You know, we live with that. That's no big deal. I like the roads being clean, but it is just, it's dangerous here, very dangerous.
And I just jotted down a note, so I'll check with that in the morning because I know we just got a lot of snow and stuff, so they're pushing stuff back. So crews may be out tomorrow pushing those banks back a little further. So
Well, that's okay because when they do that, then they tear up that first 6 foot of my yard. It's
well,
really,
they
you
got
know,
they got a new way down there that they've been trying that I've seen is just kind of keeping the bucket off the ground a little bit, just trying to it's still going to be a 3 foot pile or 2 foot
yeah, but
pile. They're just not top off.
yeah, it's just there's nothing for them to do, and I understand that. I totally understand. I've been here 30 years, so I understand the whole situation. There's nowhere to put it in this intersection.
Yeah, so hopefully tighten it up. We'll have a lot more room to deal with that a little bit better.
There's a plaque on my front porch, and the plaque says "Welcome to Harbert and Casualty Corner," because yeah, I have family that have come here on vacation from Florida, and we're going to Casualty Corner because it's interesting to sit out here and watch. And back in the day when it was a lot of accidents, very, very scary.
Yeah, and see that sometimes we don't see that. I mean, I have all the accident history, so anytime there's an accident that is a police report, I have access to, and we can see at any point where it's happened at for what causes. So we do look at that for high risk intersections, and unfortunately, this one has it flagged as one.
Yeah, I mean, here and my neighbor next door, Roberta, as well. It's really nothing in the summer to get car parts off your front lawn from people that just they've hit trees out here, they've hit the posts. It's just been unreal.
Yeah. So hopefully this will kind of prevent that. I'm hoping.
That would be nice.
Moving towards Prairie, again, I just wanted to show this path, again, coming in tight. As you see, once we get to Prairie, you kind of see it angle back away from the road a little bit. This is the area that we don't do curb and gutter. So the reason for that is there's a lot of area for the water to drain naturally. I don't need to concentrate it to an underground system of pipes. I'm able to allow sheet flow based at the grade and kind of do what it does naturally. Obviously, we'll be correcting some of it with ditches and swales, but we'll still be moving water over the surface here rather than what we are over here in pipes. There is a design exception out here. We're kind of giving everybody, we're waiting for MDOT. Ideally, we want it to look like what Union Pier and Red Arrow looks like. So you have your 3 lanes, and then you have your curb and gutter right outside your lane there. This being a higher speed section, it doesn't really allow you to put curb and gutter that tight to the road. It normally allows a 3 foot paved shoulder to be in between that. We are arguing that with MDOT right now based on our future expectations of this road and lowering the speed and the corridor and the characteristics that we want this road to achieve. So right now that's still in the limbo. So we're hoping we can get that through. That way we can make this tighter and more traffic calming to get that speed to come down a little bit. And you keep hearing me say the word traffic calming, and I know a lot of people go, yeah, good luck with that. We have been successful last year with it. We have converted Napier Avenue up in Benton Harbor and St. Joe from a 4-lane section to a 3-lane section through, and it's one of our busiest roads in the county, running about 18,000 cars a day. We've had nothing but positive feedbacks on it. It has slowed traffic down, but yet it is still moving traffic efficiently with very little delay. So we are confident that this 3-lane section will be a traffic calming section. Since people are used to a runway out there at 4 lanes, this will slow them down and feel a little more comfortable and get those lower speeds in there. So that's what I mean when I say traffic calming. As we move forward, continuing down here towards Harbert Township Park, here's the Township Hall.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you're kind of getting a little feedback, or I don't know what's going on. It was fine, and then it's getting a little staticky sounding.
Mine was too.
Well, hopefully that will stop here shortly. I don't see
It
any
seems fine
issue.
now.
Welcome to the country. Not very good internet signal. But anyway, so moving down, you'll see the township hall and the park starting right here. Again, 3-lane section. Here's the proposed crosswalk, another pedestrian activated signal. Most likely this crosswalk will move down a little bit to hit the corner, either side of this entrance to the park. I know there's a dog park here now. The township has future streetscape plans in this section. So we're working with them as far as placement of that crosswalk for any future development. But as you see, that's where that non-motorized path stops. We're just taking it down to this park. However, like I mentioned, on the other side, we will continue grading for it this way because we got to get the water to flow. So we'll grade everything for it. So again, there'll be this 10-foot grassy plain looking through there as you look down it. So when they come in the future, we can just sit there, or remove a little bit of soil, put gravel down and pave it. Away we go. Very, very minimum inconvenience when we go through there. Again, you can just kind of see, I know they're not very big aerials, but kind of what we're looking at. Like I mentioned, township halls here with their drives, residents here. Nothing fancy, just a simple 3-lane section. Like I did mention, there is no curb and gutter in this area. This is all just basic 3 lanes with a 3-foot shoulder and gravel. There's no curb and gutter there to capture the flow, additional sheet flow. As we get down towards the park, we will be eliminating the center drive to the park. We're going to allow one way in, or not one way in, but one drive on one side, a second drive on the other. So you can go one way in, one way out, or you can do 2 entrances either side. However, we will be getting rid of this third drive in coordination with the township. So they're on board with that. As we move down, we will put new guardrail all along this section here. There is a large ravine here. That we'll be putting new guardrail on and extending the limits of that guardrail to protect even out further. As we get into the curve is the big thing. I guess has been my big challenge, trying to reduce costs. Again, we are removing that lakeside lane. So this furthest outside lane that right now, if you're headed towards Union Pier on the outside lane, it's coming completely out. In this curve, there is an old storm sewer that runs on the edge. So there's inlets and stuff to capture the water because it doesn't have a ditch to go into. When we remove those lanes, that storm sewer is going to stay in place. We're just going to change its characteristics a little bit on the surface of how water gets into it. And we're basically going to make a swale through there. Water will still go into it. It'll still drain. Everything will go through. There's about 3,500 feet of that. To replace that is very costly. If I can get the road away from it and keep it conditional the way it is, we can go back and replace it at a later date with, a less expensive material since it's not underneath the roadway. So our goal there is to keep that intact and keep that drainage going. When we grade for that swale, again, like I mentioned, we'll be grading for that path up here as we get towards that vineyard that's there. We'll still be grading for that path to go in. However, it just won't be there when this project's done. It's prepped for future development. Again, here's the old M11. Like I said, similar to Harbert, we are changing this configuration pretty drastically. Right now, you'll notice what's there now is you can come cruising off Red Arrow Highway and veer off this road on the old M11 if you want to. We've noticed semis trying to make this curve right here, going back the Three Oaks Road that they missed. Currently, there is a dirt road that is within our right-of-way. We have very large right-of-way out there again. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn Old M11 out to Red Arrow to make that perpendicular intersection with the Red Arrow, so you can clearly see both directions when you come up to that intersection. And also that prevents anyone coming, like I said, 55 miles an hour onto a road that's, a lot slower, a lot smaller. With the senior center that's there, we have met with them. They're on board. We're going to provide them a driveway, a new driveway here. We're going to remove the old M11 that's there. And then their driveway will now come off this section of old M11. Also, we're still debating this right now. There's a potential that this may not be there just because they don't want the confusion of someone flying off this way thinking they can get through. So we're still working with them on that, but right now they'll have a driveway off onto Red Arrow, and then Old M will turn out this way and intersect into Red Arrow that way. So that's the other major change. As we continue down, past the vineyard here. Again, it's just a 3-lane section. You can see the drives moving off there a little bit. Continuing further down, we get into here is this Parkway Place, I believe. This goes back to a park. We are going to define that intersection with a concrete kind of gutter border, I should say, to kind of define that intersection. We'll pave it back to the right of way to prevent any gravel coming out. I have had questions about why don't you pave another 400 feet back to help with this parking lot to the church and things like that. However, with this project, with there being federal funding, I have to stop at that right away. Anything that happens out here, we can discuss in the future with the township participating or seeing what we can do with that, but that will not be done with this project at this time. Again, all this will be graded to handle the path coming through here. It does fit with very minimal inconvenience. So that will be prepped and ready to go when that comes in. Moving up towards Sawyer, again, straight away here is the same thing. Now when we get to the intersection of Sawyer, here's Sawyer Road, Holloway Drive, Sawyer Road, intersection, Red Arrow Highway. This will remain the same. How it looks out there today is how it's going to look. However, you'll notice the lines will just kind of disappear that are out there now. If you're traveling southbound on Red Arrow Highway towards Union Pier, you will have to merge into the inside lane and continue southbound in the 3-lane section. That'll be basically what's there now with the turn lane. You'll notice that this turn lane tapers away as you move this way. The lane will taper the same way and continue tapering until you're down to 1. That'll kind of give you an idea. If you're headed northbound, once you get this section, you'll just see this second lane open up as you see here, and then you'll have your 2 lanes headed northbound along with your turn lane. So this intersection does not change. How it looks today is how it's going to look when we get done with the project with no issue. So that's kind of how that will look at the end. So here's the full reconstruction portion that I mentioned. Here's Harbert Road. Here's Prairie Road. So this is the section I'll get a full reconstruct with the drainage, because we have to put new drainage in there. We got to put the curb and gutter. We got the water to flow right, all the stuff. So that will be an area that we'll be digging everything up and replacing it, kind of like you saw on Union Pier. A caveat to the whole project is prior to us coming in, there is a drain commissioner project. So I know a lot of you have been part of a petition project out there for a couple of years for the Harbert drain. They're going to be in there first, hopefully right away this spring, and they'll be replacing all this pipe and getting it ready in preparation for us to come in and tie into. So we are working closely with the drain commissioner on this project as well, with his consultants, trading back designs, making sure everything matches. So we are looking at that. Again, you can see that light whitish gray, that's the path coming in over here. So that kind of gives you a better idea where it's going to be at and everything. Again, I talked about the old M11 configuration. This is just a zoom up of it to show a little bit closer picture, kind of what we're referring to and how this is grayed out moving in there. And then also the drain commissioner, I'm getting ahead of myself, but the drain commissioner project will be coming in as well. I said anticipated 2021 start, the new storm, and it's not part of the road project. So basically the picture you see there is a picture from Union Pier. It's the same type of construction you'll see going on up in Harbert, but nowhere near as deep, hopefully. Timeline. Right now we're working on final plans to MDOT. Will be late March is what we're looking to get those in for. Road construction will start after the 4th of July holiday. I do not want to move construction equipment in there during Memorial Day or 4th of July, as I know those are big holidays down there. We will be taking up Labor Day though. However, traffic will be maintained just like Red Arrow and Union Pier, 1 lane each direction. Should not have to close off traffic at all unless there is unforeseen issue that comes up, then we'll handle it then. But right now we do not anticipate closing Red Arrow Highway for this project. All road work will be completed by fall 2021 with possible restoration in spring of 2022. We're going to push our limits this fall as far as getting all the paving and concrete work done, and then once we're done we'll be outside our restoration timeline so that they'll come back in the spring and finish that up to get everything ready to go. Pedestrian crossings. So this is an example of what will be out there. This is what will be in Union Pier. This is what we plan on being at Harbert. Two of them up at Harbert, one at Harbert Road and Red Arrow, one at Township Park. You can see a pedestrian walk up, press the button. Those bright yellow strobe lights will start flashing very brightly, grab anyone's attention that is driving to tell them, hey, there's a pedestrian in the roadway, heads up. So we've seen these start popping up a lot. So we're excited to see the use of these and the safety features that they bring. Non-motorized path, as I mentioned, it'll be 10 feet wide. Bikers, joggers, walkers, strollers, etc. Anything that does not have a motor. So this time of year, snowmobiles will not be allowed to use it. If they are seen using it, they can probably get a ticket, but I'm not going to be out there policing it. Probably the local police agency will have to look at that. But it'll be designed to handle this, just like multiple trails that you have seen start popping up in Berrien County, the Indiana-Michigan path, the Roosevelt path. Multiple of them are starting to pop up, and this is going to look just like those. Traffic patterns. There will be several phases to it, so there will be a lot of traffic shifts, similar to how Red Arrow was phased. You notice Red Arrow and Union Pier, there's a lot of shifting back and forth, one lane each direction, all that stuff moving forward. Temporary limitations of turn movements at Harbert Road and Prairie Avenue. We'll limit turning there. We'll make that clear to which way you can turn. You may not be able to turn at Harbert Road. You'll have to go up to Prairie and come back down. You'll always be able to turn onto Harbert Road off of towards the lakeside, since there is no other access back there. We'll always maintain access to that and to businesses, residential, anybody that's out there. You will have to maintain access to you at all times. There may be a 5 or 10 minute delay as we get the old driveway out and the new driveway back in, but it will be notified and you will be able to get in and out. Paving, we will notify all the businesses during paving operations. Normally, it depends on the weather. If it's a hot day, it'll take a little bit longer for the asphalt to cool. So we'll have, restrictions. Say once we come through, give us an hour, you'll be able to drive back on this, no problem, or less if it's cooler. So we'll work with businesses as we go through, making sure everyone's aware that, hey, we're coming through. Just a heads up, there'll be an hour here that we'll need to kind of shut your drive off. So that'll be coordinated as well. With that being said, is there any questions, comments, concerns? I'll pull up the chat box. I haven't looked at it. I see there's a couple in there.
Is there going to be a speed change through here?
So once the project is completed, we have to complete the project. We have to let traffic get used to the new traffic pattern, and then we will request a speed study. We do not get to set speed limits as a county. That is the state police. We can only request a speed study. For example, if I went and requested a speed study on a road that was 45 miles an hour and that people wanted it 35 miles an hour, if I go out there and do a speed study and 85% of the traffic is traveling 55 miles an hour, the speed limit goes up instead of down. So we're hoping that the new characteristics of the roadway will allow traffic to slow down, force them to slow down, and then we'll get that speed study done.
Have you anticipated that without the parking out front of the Swedish bakery, where the overflow is going to go? I mean, they line up 10 cars long on Red Arrow already, and if you're taking away that lane, because that's, it's either over there or down Harbor Road towards the lake, or in my front yard. That's already where the overflow is.
Yeah, so we're working with the Swedish Bakery right now on parking lot designs. They're working with some other advisor consultant to figure out to maximize their parking to make it a lot more efficient than what it is right now. So,
okay.
Question? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How come you're ending it at Main and not going all the way to the turn? It's only a few hundred yards or so. Why would you leave a section like that undone?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question. You're referring to the path?
Yeah, no, with the road. You said the road's only going to go to Main, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then from Main to the section you just completed, which is a few hundred yards down the road, goes unfixed.
Correct.
Why?
$500,000, $500 to $750,000 more to incorporate that section of roadway to do that. So, I mean,
So,
this is already, we're pushing about $2.7 million on this project. So that's about the max we can do without having to neglect the rest of the county. So we're maximizing as much length as we possibly can.
It will be a lot better.
okay. And so on all these driveways that lead up to Red Arrow,
Yes.
which are just mostly just cinders, and gravel, how far are you going to extend down the road, the private road?
Oh my God, here I go. Yeah, I gotta
How far are we going to extend down the private road as we move through them? Or are you referring to each driveway? Me too. I think I lost you there for a minute.
I think he's muted.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's asking about how far down the side streets we're going.
So down the side streets, we'll go to the right of way line roughly on the side streets. Any driveway out there that is running gravel or up to the roadway will most likely be putting some type of asphalt approach on. The max we can go is the right of way, but we'll look at where we can best tie into existing right of way moving through.
Yeah, hi. I have two questions. First, and I'm not sure if this was tied to this project in Union Pier or the pipe project, but there were so many tires damaged last year during that Union Pier piece along Red Arrow. I'm not sure if the team was aware of this or not, but is there anything being done to ensure that that doesn't happen again during this segment of construction?
So a lot of that was a result of the sewer project going on. They were running those heavy trucks down the edge of the roads. We were in constant communication with the contractor, with the consultant on that project, notifying, hey, you got potholes, you got to get them fixed. We'd send our crew out there occasionally if they got terribly bad. We try to get them patched, but we were working our best with them. This section, I do not see that issue coming up. As if it does, we'll be a lot more aware of it at this time, but I believe the edge of the road will remain much more intact because it will not have the large dump trucks and semis running on it like it did for Red Arrow and Union Pier, because they were tight on limits when trying to get that sanitary sewer line in.
Perfect. Okay, just wanted to make sure that the team was aware. And also, I'm the owner of Harbor Country Cabins that you showed on there. I just would like to, you said that you guys have been partnering with the businesses. I haven't heard anything, but so I'd like to just better understand the impacts to the new driveway entrances on my property. So is there somebody that I should reach out to directly to just kind of have a deeper conversation on that? Because I was thinking about getting the whole driveway refreshed anyway, so maybe this is the right time to try to tackle that as well.
So we've met with the owners that are going to be severely impacted by driveway relocation, reconfiguration. If you have not been contacted, most likely your driveway is staying where it's at and just being redone. However, I will give you some contact information if you want to reach out. We'll be more than happy to look at that and address any issues that you may have.
Okay, great, thanks.
In the questions, I did see someone posted something to see the picture of the crosswalk again. I'm assuming you want to see where those locations were. So like I said, here at Harbert Road and Red Arrow Highway, the crosswalk will be somewhere in this vicinity. We have not shown it yet, but it will be right here to cross from one side to the other. And then again, down at the park, we will also have one crossing near the entrance to the park. The yellow lights ones. Now I'm catching on to what you wanted to see. I'll go down here to the end. So there's a picture of the crosswalks, kind of what we're looking at doing there. Like I mentioned before, there will be a recording of this that we'll post on our website for everyone to see afterwards. So if you did join late, you'll be able to watch at any time.
Okay, I have another question.
Absolutely.
Okay, explain to me again about the Harbert Road intersection going away from the lake. You mentioned something about closing that off, as in the road itself, the entrance from Red Arrow?
So we did at the very beginning, we did consider, are we able to, part of this different alternatives, this intersection, would we be able to shut this completely off and force them to use Prairie Road? We thought about that for probably a good 5 minutes and realized that it's not going to flow very well, because if we have commercial traffic, they're going to have to make one turn here at Prairie, then make the tight turn back onto Harbert. So that was basically pushed out as an alternative right away when trying to reconfigure this intersection.
Right, but without the market there and out of business, we don't have the semi-traffic that we used to have.
But I don't know what could possibly go back into there as well. I mean, they could have another market come back in there. They could have a restaurant that requires deliveries, anything like that. But it's not so much the traffic for that partial individually. It's anything going down Harbert Road.
Yeah, it's that little zoom. Yeah, it's the little zoom through there.
Yep.
Okay. And that's going to be, did you say curved?
Yes. So you kind of see that double line in there that resembles concrete curb and gutter. So there'll be a 6-inch concrete head on to kind of keep them inside the roadway so they're not coming out.
Okay. Well, that would be good.
Any other questions? I know I'm trying to, if I missed one in the chat, please send it again, but I am trying to back up here and see everything that has been said. I think we've got everything answered. I know a couple of people are saying they're excited for the project. So are we. I think I will tell you there was a lot of stress and concern with the Union Pier and Red Arrow going through that design, as it was one of the first major undertakings by the county for that, and probably one of the biggest partnerships that we've had as far as getting a sewer project in there, water project in there, a drain project. I mean, everything that you could possibly think of went into that project. We spent about 1.5 years in design and probably 1.5 years in construction. So we're excited that kind of broke the ice. So when we moved into this project, it was very simple, same cross section, same features, same idea. However, now we need to make it, more to this area. What's different about Harbert? They're not the same. Harbert's different than the Union Pier. What are the requirements up here for pedestrian traffic, vehicle traffic, all that stuff? And the townships, even, like I said, they're doing a streetscape project on their own. They're doing the same thing. Like I said, we design roads, bridges, and culverts. We don't get into the what tree looks better here, what color bench, and things like that. So I'll give that off to them, let them run with that, and we'll work with them as much as needed to make sure everything flows together. But this is just going to be a road project.
Okay, now I'm looking at the picture that you have, and I understand that's going to be the new Harbor Road entrance opposite of the lake, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you're changing there won't be that little just slide off. So they'll actually have to stop and slow down to make an actual turn. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So what happens? All right. Because, that's pretty much my front yard. So what happens with that extra space out there that used to be part of that little curve off? What happens to that now?
So what we'll do is we'll remove all that old roadway. We'll grade it and we'll restore it back with the grass. It will still be county right away and everything. However,
So you're telling me I'm gonna have more to mow?
You don't have to.
Well, it's gonna look ugly if I don't.
So,
yeah, it'll look, but if there's a curb there, if there's going to be curb there, it will save my front yard, actually.
Yes, it will, and that's what I was referring to. It'll prevent moving back in there, but as we get in there, within our right of way, our county mowers will keep it mowed back if you do not for clearance and stuff out there. And then also, we'll work with you if you didn't put any type of vegetation out there, or any trees, bushes, or anything, will require county right-of-way permit. We'll just let you put it out there and work with you. So if you do want to kind of make a barrier out there,
Right,
bushes.
because that won't be a point of a visual anymore.
Correct.
Because before you couldn't, I mean, before nothing could be out there, because if you backed out of this driveway onto Harbert Road, I mean, I even had a section of fence I had to take down when I first bought this house, because they said it had to be 16 feet off the road. And I agree, because it was hard for me to get out of the driveway as well.
Right.
Oh,
Did we ever
And
get
the
the gentleman
trees?
back that was asking the question? Did he ever get himself unmuted?
right, that's what I thought, if they can just prescribe that, or, if they say no, but we'll give you the name of somebody,
Any other questions out there? I will say, if anyone knows John Chipman, I know John Chipman has been our spokesperson out here. John worked with us at Red Arrow Union Pier and has been a big advocate for this project, working with the township and residents. And it's been nice having him out there. We kind of put an idea out there, and he runs to the businesses and makes sure there's a direct link, so we're not missing anybody out there and anything like that. So I see Cynthia Berkshire responded. Appreciate the considerations for small businesses that the township and road department have shown, and the planning, partnership. Yes, the Swedish bakery is a very important area down there. I am always flabbergasted by the amount of vehicles that are in there. So I did have to, when I was there on the weekend, I did have to stop in there and test it out. And I see why it's always busy.
Oh yeah. It was an ordeal with my family growing up, with the original Swedish bakery family. The kids had to hold hands as they crossed the street. But 29 years ago, I don't think we had the business here that we have now.
Right. And we're already seeing it down in Red Arrow Union Pier. We're already seeing business development starting to take shape, and a couple more places looking at moving in. And we've already heard some rumors going on up here in Harbert about who's looking at what and what could possibly be there. So we're definitely excited.
Yeah.
Number one, about getting this road redone and making it a lot easier to maintain in our eyes, but also providing a way for businesses to thrive down here as well.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of uncomfortableness, everybody's going to be happy in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention real quick as well, at least if you have an address directly along this corridor, you should have gotten a letter from us at Whiteman requesting information for communication. We are just trying to make sure we have people's numbers and emails, and unfortunately that is challenging to do, especially during the pandemic. You can't really be down there and knocking on doors and stuff. So please make sure you get us your contact information so that we can be in touch about important updates on this project, and meetings such as this and any other updates that might be relevant. So thank you to those who have already replied to that or are already on our list. I'm sure you know who you are, but if you haven't received something, please reach out so we can make sure that you're on our list and we have all of your proper contact information. That's hugely helpful and moving forward as well. I will put our just general Whiteman email here in the chat box. So if somebody has not gotten in touch with us, please feel free to drop your contact information to that email and it will come to myself or in our office and we can get you all logged in to our contact list. So.
Is there any other questions or concerns from anybody out there that may that we missed or anything like that?
Let's just pray for everybody to be patient.
This project should be a knock on wood now. This project should be a lot smoother, I would say, than Red Arrow Union Pier. I will tell you a quick backstory is the sewer project was originally supposed to be part of our project. And at I think the 11th hour, we looked at each other and decided we're going to separate them due to the size of that project, and we needed to get it going right away. I'm thankful we did because they ran into a lot of issues, unknown issues that when you're 30, 35 feet in the ground, you just don't expect. So they did very good at moving that project along. We did have some delays in there, but we made up for it, and they worked very quickly to mitigate any issues. So I don't see us having to be 30 feet down in the ground at any time during this project. The most should only be about 7 feet. So we should move a lot more quickly here with a lot less inconvenience to traveling public and the residents in that area.
One more question I forgot to ask. At that intersection, that Harbert Road little, 1,000-foot section, is that going to be blacktopped as well?
That was blacktopped approximately, I believe, 3 years ago. So it'll actually get a preventative maintenance treatment put on it here shortly.
Okay. And what about the driveways?
Along Harbor, outside of that area?
Yes.
We won't be touching any of those.
Okay.
They should have been halfway addressed when the project came through, but if it was gravel then, it probably went back gravel.
Yeah. I don't want blacktop.
Oh, no problem.
No, thank you.
The reason for the blacktop out on Red Arrow Highway is to prevent any stone or gravel getting out into that area with the curb and gutter. Last thing I want is dirt and gravel trying to go into a pipe system and plug it up.
So I've got a quick thought on this project, and I want to thank you all for everything you've done. This is very exciting to all of us here in Harbert Sawyer area.
Okay.
One question I would have is, you mentioned the drain project is going to take place right before this kicks in. Can you kind of show us where the drain is along Red Arrow Highway, and what exactly do you know what the extent to that project will look like? Just kind of get a knowing of what to expect on that one.
I do not have the plans that I can share easily on the screen, but I can show you basically off the maps really quick. Let me back up here to the actual full street project so you can clearly see it. So what is out there now is here down in this corner is the nursery, or what used to be the nursery. There's a couple old clay lines that run underneath that property and almost underneath the building that they're going to be abandoning. Their main focus is they're going to be running down Prairie in this direction here, and then along the railroad tracks, I believe, as well, replacing that drain to get underneath the railroad tracks. But once they get to Prairie, there's already an existing storm sewer underneath the road here. They're going to tie on, and they're going to run a new system up the side of Red Arrow Highway here and tie in to multiple lines. I believe there's a new project going on here. These landowners here are developing this area. There's a couple clay tiles that run right next to their building and most likely underneath their building. Those will be abandoned, and there'll be a new discharge point created further down. But what you'll see is at some point they'll be cutting a couple cross cuts across the Red Arrow Highway to get that pipe in, but you should see they should be only working in one lane. So it'll be, again, one lane in each direction with minimum impact. Putting in storm pipe like that goes fairly quick. So it'll be a very quick project in and out of there, fingers crossed.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Anybody else out there that may have joined late that missed anything, that wants me to discuss anything possibly that we had at the beginning of the presentation? Yeah, if there's any questions, just ask them. Like I said, we're trying to address everything we possibly can to make sure. Like I said, the recording should be posted on our YouTube page, on our website. We'll put a link up on our Facebook page. We'll broadcast it once it gets out there to make sure everyone knows where to go for that. one thing this pandemic has helped is we all know how to do things remotely now. Be able to have Zoom meetings like this and be able to get them back to information later. So things like this, I'd rather have in-person things, but of course, with today's restrictions, you got to do what we can do to make sure everyone knows what's going on. I see, Donald, do you have I see you possibly have a question?
Yeah, just, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. You got
Yes,
muted
yeah,
earlier,
well,
sorry.
Yeah, what consideration was given to, extending it? I had talked before about extending it from Maine south to where it was done before, and you said $500,000. Well, what if we didn't put all those curbs and things in?
So I have, sorry, go ahead.
Was it, in other words, was it what consideration was given not to do all that stuff and just complete the roadway? It used to be back in the past, and I've been there for quite a long time, that we just did the roads, and now we're doing scaping and all this stuff, and then we're doing that at the cost of not doing roads. That's all I'm saying. What consideration was given? Who decided that?
So there is no streetscape element with this. So the curb and gutter in here has no relation to the streetscape. What the curb and gutter in here is because the area out there is so flat, is we've got to get water to move. So when we redo this, we ran simulations of where rainwater is going to flow, and we're noticing areas of flooding that is going to occur. So to get that to stop, we have to adjust the vertical curve of the road, and also allows us, we have to put the curb and gutter in there so we can isolate the flow into piping underground to get it out of there. So that's what the curb and gutter is there for. That's a need for geometric design. That is not so much for any streetscape elements or anything like that. Strictly for drainage. When we move in, sorry, go ahead.
With all that snow we're having, the snowplows are going to know where all those curbs are.
Yes, our guys are that good. There will be delineated where it starts and where it stops. Just like if you go through Red Arrow Union Pier right now, you'll see delineators marking the back of the curbs. Our guys stay off those curbs. They are very, very in tune to where those plows are.
Okay. Well, I just, my personal opinion was I thought the streets were more important than having curbs. We haven't had curbs for 100 years. It's not like, we have to have them. I'd rather have a street to drive on that I don't get a backache on. That would be better.
We're chasing as much as we can. I will tell you, 4 or 5 years ago, there was a conversation when we did that first section of Red Arrow up near Bridgman of what would it cost to do the entire roadway at once. The cost to do that entire roadway at once at that time was pushing about $15 million to get that completed. Our roadway budget every year to run snowplow operations, to run summer operations, maintenance, everything, all these projects was only $16 million. So that was not a feasible option to do that. So we chunked it off as largely as we possibly could to make sure we were able to maintain the rest of the county as well. Red Arrow is one of the primary roads, but again, like we have the Napiers, we have the Cleveland Avenues, a lot of those other roads that we have to maintain as well. So we are tackling as much as we can at a time. Also looking in the future as far as future maintenance, as far as seal coating them, repaving, anything like that, trying to make sure that we're not overwhelming ourselves in the future.
So you just explained why you went from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, because maintenance in the future would be cheaper.
Exactly.
But we didn't do that. We didn't do that all over. We didn't do that from Sawyer Road to Bridgman.
Correct.
That's 4 lanes.
Correct. So from Bridgman to Browntown, when we were in that design and underneath that administration, we were looking at that roadway, and we saw it with the state park being in there. There was no left-hand turn movement needed. So the 3 lanes is pushing. The main driver of it is how much left-hand movement is there. Do we need a protected left hand? When you're moving from Browntown to Bridgman, you don't have a lot of left-hand turn movements as far as side streets, residential, beach access. I mean, your biggest issue in there is the state park that backs up when it comes out in there. So the turn issue was to make it 4 lanes at federal regulations width-wise to keep that 4 lanes going through there.
And Browntown to Sawyer is also state 4 lanes.
Browntown to Sawyer was what we call a short-term immediate fix, meaning the fix type that was done on that was a quarter of what the previous section was to update it, knowing that, hey, when we come back, because we're not quite sure what this area is going to do once we come through. So in 7 to 10 years, when we're ready to come back, at that time, we'll be able to readdress that section to see what the traffic needs are. But the biggest driver in there is we had an I-94 exit at Sawyer, an I-94 exit at Bridgman, which were on either side of the state park. So we felt comfortable at that time leaving it 4 lanes to allow traffic to get in there until we can have.
Okay, so that makes sense. I mean, obviously. So from Sawyer Road on to Lakeside,
Correct.
You can get on 94 a couple places. So when they have an accident and trucks are getting off at Bridgman or at Sawyer, now they make a left-hand turn. They start heading south, and they're going to be on a 1-lane road. So you have all these trucks, and you're not going to be able to pass. And those are coming down, and it's going to be 55 miles an hour. And you got crossings of people walking, and they're going to stop and let people walk across when there's an accident on 94 and they have to go someplace. I don't think that's going to happen.
So I'll be honest with you. With the I-94, we did reach out to MDOT, and MDOT's traffic division did pull all the data for us. I-94 back in 2018 when we requested that data, I-94 with those 3-lane sections from St. Joe to the state line, the amount of time that it had a complete highway shutdown was 8 hours. So 8 hours out of the entire year, that highway was completely shut down. Now, other times it's 1 lane, it backs up. Yes, you're going to get those people coming off of I-94, getting on the Red Arrow Highway. I will tell you, I can't build a road to handle 50,000 cars a day. That when it happens in North County, they do not travel 55 because when that road shuts down and they exit on the Red Arrow Highway, it's bumper to bumper. I'll be honest, it is bumper to bumper from Watervliet to Coloma on the Red Arrow Highway when they shut that highway down. We can't plan for that. I mean, we can allow access for that. We can allow them to use our roads, but the idea to handle 50,000 cars a day is just not feasible for this highway. We'd have to make it a 5-lane highway all the way through here for 8 hours out of the year. So we did look at that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's only
so all I'm saying is that you're going to have backups. You're going to have trucks getting off. You're going to have accidents. And so you're going to have these heavy trucks back on your new road. And now they're damaging the road with the weight they have. So all I'm saying is there any way that you can keep those trucks off the road once you get done doing this?
Legally, I cannot, because Red Arrow Highway, the way we have designed it and the way it's being built is what we classify an all-seasons road. It has no restrictions because it's built heavy enough to handle that. But I legally cannot keep commercial traffic off that road. They do need a backup, transport area for I-94 when it does close down. But MDOT is very, very religious on that roadway that you will not shut down all 3 lanes. Even if you have to push a car off to the side to get it moving.
So what's the rules if I'm driving in that area between Sawyer and Union Pier, and the 3-lane roads, or the 2-lane, one in each direction, and we have an ambulance, we have a fire truck, we have police, and you have to do what? Do you stop? Do they use the middle lane? Do we go in the middle lane? Do we go to the right? What's the rules? You
stay exactly where you are. That fire truck should be coming at you in the center turn lane. Ambulance, police car, they should use that center turn lane as a travel through.
So that's the right of way. That's what they're going to use.
They'll most likely, if they have a car in front of them, they'll jump into that turn lane and come around. If they do not, they'll be traveling probably in northbound lane most of the way, and they'll you just stop.
So if there's not a whole lot of traffic and I'm on Red Arrow and there's an ambulance, a fire truck, or a police vehicle behind me, I do not move.
You
know what you say?
Step on your brakes. They'll see your brake lights. You come to a stop. They'll go around you.
I have to come to a stop.
Yes. You have to yield to that vehicle.
Okay. Well, if he's going to go around me, why do I got to come to a stop?
So he can get effectively around you safely.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone understands the new rules.
Well, it's not so much a new rule. I mean,
Well, I mean, usually you pull over.
if a fire truck comes up along behind you on Red Arrow Highway now,
You pull over.
exactly. So if a fire truck comes up on you now, you just pull over as far as you can. So if that curb and gutter's there, you can only go to that curb and gutter. That fire truck will go around you.
Okay. All right. Just consider it. I'm just trying to consider all the options that can happen. That's all.
Trust me, when a vehicle doesn't come to a stop, when a fire truck's getting around you, it becomes very frustrating to that engineer behind that wheel, that fire truck, because they have to travel that much further to get around you.
I got it. Okay, so the middle lane's basically going to be theirs. I got it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Good questions. Let me check chat. I see someone asked when the start date will be again. After July 4th. We plan on starting after July 4th. Once the holiday traffic is kind of cleared, is when we plan on getting in there and starting that. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Like Melanie had mentioned, she has posted Whiteman's email address for to contact info@whiteman or gowhiteman.com. If you do have any questions that you think of later, please email that. They go to Whiteman and then they filter them to myself if there's something that they can't answer. So that's kind of the justification behind that. 3-lane to 4-lane again. So the conversion areas. Up here. So here is the south end moving in, and we'll be moving north. That's where it's going to taper. That's how it's going to look at heading northbound, or starting at southbound of the south of the project, moving northbound. That's how your taper will work. Same thing going southbound. It just opens back up to 4 lanes. And then I'll quickly go back to the Sawyer Road one. Again, this one should not change. You should look at exactly how it is, that it is now. And then as you move south, it will just keep tapering. As that center turn lane taperways now, it will taper down into what it will be 3 lanes. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anything I missed in the chat that someone may have posted?
Could you just put up view 3 of 4 again for a moment?
I'm sorry, which section?
The page prior to this, view 3 of 4.
Are there any questions that you have regarding that page that we can answer?
I'm new to this. I just purchased part of that vineyard property. So I was just trying to understand it. And I thought there might be like a little bridge over a ravine in this section. I was just wondering if that materially impacted the 3 to 4, but I don't actually even see it. It'd probably be right on the edge of the top.
So you're referring right in this area. Here's a township park. There's a ravine right here, and I believe your vineyard starts right up in this area right here. So it does not, the ravine does not affect, they'll have new guardrail in there, but there won't be much difference in that ravine.
Got it.
I will tell you with your property there on the vineyard, just a FYI, I do want to show you this. You see this gray dashed line right here?
Yes.
That is the county right of way. So you see your vineyard? It's within that county right of way, which is fine. It's grandfathered in. There's plenty of room out there. We're not going to come in and take out anything, but if this path does continue up this direction, it stays within the right of way. It does not impact the vineyards that are there now. It does do a nice little bend out right here because there's a grade issue. But just know, now that you own that property, anything, let's just say anything you want to do outside of that grape line or the edge of those grape lines, we do ask that you contact us, as that is within county right of way, so we can work with you with permitting and making sure that there will be no impediments in the future. Just a quick.
Excellent. That's super helpful. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions, comments? I don't see anything in the chat box. Unless I missed, I think I've covered everything there. Any other pages or questions that anyone wants to see before we wrap it up?
What happens with some of these folks that have mailboxes in those areas?
We'll take care of that. So if
Well,
you
I
have,
know, but
if you have
like
a, if you have a fancy mailbox, a very nice white vinyl or anything fancy that's just not a typical 4x4 post with a mailbox on it, well, the inspector that will be on site will work with you and be like, hey, you know, if you prior to get that moved out of the way, and then we'll reset it when we come back through. But as far as mail service during the project, if there's a time that we have to remove mailboxes to where the postmaster can't get to them, we will set up a centrally located mailbox area. So each address will have its own mailbox, but it'll be on a big box somewhere centrally located so the postmaster can get to it and everybody still can get their mail. But I don't see that happening. We'll always make sure the postmaster can get to the mailboxes. But if you have a mailbox that's just a plain Jane one, it has a rotted post and it falls over during construction, we'll replace it with a new post where it needs to be in its new location when we're done.
Okay, well, my mailbox is quite strange. If you post the picture of the Harbert Road going towards the lake, in that caddy corner, there's the entrance to the Swedish bakery. Then there's a little dirt road.
Cottonwood or cotton.
Yes, the Cottonwood, I think it is. Well, my mailbox sits just to the left of Cottonwood on Harbert Road towards the lake, even though my house is on the caddy corner, the opposite corner. And that, if you're doing the same thing over there, I'm kind of wondering where my mailbox is going to end up. It's strange that it's over there.
So your mailbox is on the left side of Cottonwood?
Yes, and I live on Harbert Road on the other end.
So, I mean, we'll adjust those. We'll put them, I mean, it's going to go right back in that same vicinity. As you see, we had to curve Cottonwood Drive out a little bit.
Right,
So
but that's why I was saying, because of that curb, I didn't know, and because it's literally 8 feet from the corner of Cottonwood.
Right. So most likely it'll be right in this section of Harbert Road, right past Cottonwood on the left-hand side still, to where the postmaster will still be able to get to it off Harbert Road.
Okay, then you're going to laugh when I tell you this. Throughout the years, because of the plow truck, it's been taken down about 10, 12 times.
That should no longer be an issue, as there will be curb and gutter in there. Now, I can't say that snow coming off the plow won't get it, but the truck should not be doing more than 5 miles an hour when he comes around that corner, so that should not be.
Yeah, well, my youngest got tired of digging, so what we decided to do, since we had to replace it every year or so, was take a 5-gallon bucket and put it full of cement and put the post in the bucket.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my mailbox. You can actually move it. So what happens now when the plow hits it? He just tips it over.
That's good thinking, is it? You know, mailbox.
And that was a 20-year-old that thought of that. So it worked. It worked great.
I wish I could show you a diagram of what our drivers do with those wing plows. There's an obstacle. Those wing plows are designed that they fit right under the legal height of a mailbox. So some of our experienced guys will put that right underneath that mailbox and not even touch it. But
sadly, it's not sad, but since it's been in the cement bucket, it hasn't happened in 4 years. So I'm just wondering where my cement my cement bucket's going to be.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, if you come by, you'll have to take a look at it and laugh.
I will now. I will have to pay attention when I'm back out there. So. But any other questions, comments, or concerns? I don't see any updates in the chat box. Like I said, if you go back in there, Whiteman does have their info website or info email that you can email for any questions. and we'll be more than gladly to answer those one-on-one. I believe the one lady did have a question about her driveway, so I'm hoping that you have got that email, that you can email us, and we'll reach out to you and make sure that we are accommodating your cabins and making sure that access is gained properly into there. Other than that, we look forward to this project taking off. My main reason is I get Red Arrow paved. All I'm looking for is I get brand new asphalt out there, with a little bit of aesthetics along with it. So if there's any questions, like I said, email that email. We'll get those answered. And then moving forward, like I said, a timeline, we'll get these submitted to MDOT probably in March for construction to start in July. I know it's tough to think, but after yesterday's weather, it's just right around the corner when construction season starts. It feels like it just ended, but we're excited to start this season up and get it moving. So if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and close the meeting. Like I said, if there's any other questions, shoot us that email and we'll get those addressed as soon as we can. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to come out and join us. I know this is a new way. Hopefully this summer we'll get back to in-person meetings as we move forward. But other than that, everyone have a good evening. Stay safe and stay healthy.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.